What up, techies and gamers? It's your boy Jermaine back with another. What up, techies and gamers? It's your boy Jermaine back with another new video. And in this video, hold on. How are you just gonna come here, interject, and start shooting my lines, looking like me and dressed like me? And what are you doing in my house anyway? I'm here to shoot a new video. What are you doing here? Or are you gonna ask me the same thing? Well, I'm here shooting a video, follow up to my recent video where I upgraded my 1660 MSI Super video card to an RTX 3080, and I was gonna talk about the comparison, what's better. What are you doing here anyway? I'm here to shoot a video about upgrading my 1660 Super to an RTX 3080 so I can show the viewers what you're gonna get in performance bump. Okay, so you're just gonna come in here and shoot the same video and talk, and we might as well just say it simultaneously together. That's not gonna work. There's only room in this world for one of us, and I think that's just gonna be me. No, it's gonna be me. So what are we gonna do about this? All right, so I tell you what. Let's shoot it off, rock, paper, scissors, and we'll see who gets to stay this session and shoot this video this time, and we'll take it from there. All right, let's do that. Ready? All right, let's do it. Come on. No cheating. Ready? 1, 2, rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Wait, that's nothing. What am I talking about? All right, sorry. Bro, you cheating? I'm not cheating. I promise. I'm not. All right, do it over. Ready? Rock, paper, scissors. 1, 2, 3. Shoot. Wait, what? Hold up. That's right. Rock beats scissors. So get up out of here so I can complete my video, and don't ever come back here again looking like me. And by the way, fix your hair. Your hair's all messed up and stuff. The nerve of this fool coming in here acting like me, looking like me, and being me. What? What up, techies and gamers? It's your boy Jermaine back with another new video as me, no one else. There is no other Jermaine out here. That's just Tech Toys and Gaming. All right, make sure of that. And in this video, I'm gonna be talking about how I took my 1660 Super. This dude, I can't believe him. How you get in here anyway? And in this video, I'm gonna be talking about my previous PC build, which was a very minuscule ITX PC, and I had it built with AMD Ryzen 5 3600 and a MSI 1660 Super built into it for 1080p 60 FPS video gaming on my TV screen. However, I was able to manage to get my hands, you can check the video on where I actually built this PC right there in that link. Look, I was actually able to get my hands on an RTX 3080, right? Pretty decent price, right? It was pretty much market price, maybe just a little bit over market price, over MSRP. But this day and age, what's going on in this time in the world, you're lucky to even get it for that much. So anyway, I got that, I installed it, I did a little bit of benchmarking, GPU benchmarking, to compare the performance bump I actually got with 3080 versus the 1660 Super, right? So I can actually do 4K gaming, no problem, with the 3080. With the 1660 Super, I can get ultra settings, 60 FPS, I can get 60 FPS and above on ultra. So but the thermals tend to rise up a little bit high on that. So but it works nevertheless. I never really go past 75 to 80 never really went above 80 degrees Celsius, but that is a little too high in my book, too close for comfort. So I had to find out another solution, and the solution was to basically upgrade my video card. And with that upgrade, my CPU temperatures dropped. Oh, not to mention I also upgraded my CPU cooler, which I went from an aluminum basic cheap dark flash to upgraded it to a Corsair GM100. Actually incorporates this cool column of copper down the center of it with aluminum fans and some nice RGB, my favorite. So stick around, I'm gonna show you what the actual performance bump was moving from a 1660 Super, same hardware, right? Same processor, from a 1660 Super to a RTX 3080 EVO. Set everything off to ultra settings, right? So just want to make sure that we are getting the max, well, at least the max I could out of my 1660 Super. That is definitely not a 1440p gaming card, right? Unless you're okay with gaming at maybe 30 frames per second, or maybe just a little bit more if you like put all your settings and drop them down to super low. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the comparison. Let's look at the gameplay, let's look at some of the benchmarks, and we'll take it out of there from here. We'll take it out of here from there. Right, we'll take it out of there from here. What? We're gonna jump into it right now. Actually, we're gonna go this way this time. Let's go this way. So here I am playing Control with the 1660 Super at 1080p with ultra settings. I'm able to play at 60 FPS For the most part, Control is a GPU intensive game. It requires a good GPU to even run at high settings, even at 60 FPS, 1080p. But as you can see here, when the game gets a little going, I tend to drop below 60 FPS, somewhere in the range of 40s. Now let's jump over to Control with the 3080 RTX graphics card, right? We're gonna go ahead and set it over to 1920 by 1080, of course. We'll turn off VSync just to capture a little bit of what the frame rates are actually looking like without being locked to the TV screen settings. We make sure everything is set to the highest it can go. Some just set to medium, but important here is that this game supports RTX, that's right, ray tracing. So we're going to go over to the ray tracing settings and turn on everything and put it to the max so that we can go as high as we can go on this particular title. Here we are at 1080p with all knobs turned to the max. We are getting 120 FPS on average right off the bat. Not a lot of action going here at the moment, but with moderate CPU usage and decent temperatures as well. Jumping into some action, getting those full special effects into play. We are looking at 90 FPS to 100 FPS on average, with the settings turned up to ultra with ray tracing on. This is already looking like 4K gameplay. My panel doesn't support 120 Hz, but let's do some actual 4K gameplay with all settings turned up to the max, including ray tracing. Here I kept on VSync as the panel does not support above 60 FPS, 60 Hz at 4K resolution. Here you're looking at 4K 60 FPS, all my hard-earned money at work. GPU usage has definitely stepped up and CPU has stepped down, and the temperatures have regulated as well, with the CPU dropping down to the low 60s from the low 70s before. It turns out that by increasing your graphics quality overall, it tends to balance out the resource usage, so it goes to show that this GPU-CPU combo is quite relevant. Here I jump into playing some Remnant Rise from the Ashes. It's a very steampunkish Dark Souls kind of game, just as punishing. It's a good game with great graphics. It's not particularly CPU bound, so should not run into any issues with the 1660 Super or the 3080 with regards to CPU usage. But looking here at the gameplay here on 1080p ultra settings with the 1660 Supers, you can see we are getting a nice decent FPS rate, good CPU temps, as well as good GPU usage. But let's go ahead and drop it down to all super low settings and see what kind of frame rates we can get. And looking closely, just by dropping the graphics quality down to low on all fronts, we can get pretty good FPS. So if you have a good monitor that supports 120 Hz better, then that's good to go. Switching over to the RTX 3080 graphics card, you can see that it's utilizing a pretty decent percentage of the graphics card's resources, up at the 80-90% mark, and the CPU temps are decent as well. When going into settings and turning VSync on to match my monitor, you can see the buttery smooth 4K 60 playback. The 3080 is now doing its magic with the CPU load and temps dropping, even though it's overclocking at 4.1 gigahertz. Now jumping into some Avengers with the 1660 Super, you can see here that this is actually a game that utilizes both CPU and GPU with both resources running high. And it looks like it basically can only run it around 60 FPS mark. It's not going above that, it's actually going a little bit below it, but either way the frame rate looks relatively decent, as well as the graphics, you know, with it being on ultra settings, it's not too bad. But if we jump over to the 3080 at 1080p, you'll see that it's also with the same resources, a high both on CPU and GPU. We are now getting 100 plus FPS. Looks like we're averaging about 130, 140. Look at this here. Even in cutscenes here, we look like we're jumping up to 180, 200 FPS. So yeah, it's looking pretty good here with the 3080 at 1080p Ultra with the Avengers. But let's go ahead and take this a notch up and jump into 4K. And let's change that 1920 1080 over to 4K. It's going to be 4K 60. At 1080 I can do 120 Hz, which is also fantastic. But 4K 60, I don't know. You tell me which is better. 1080p 120, 4K 60. I'll leave that for you to decide. But let's go ahead here and see what this 4K 60 actually looks like, right? Let's lock it to the monitor. Here we go with Avengers at 4K 60 FPS, and my resources are looking phenomenal right now. So right now my CPU usage is pretty low. Right here, just standing with Tony Stark's, and my RTX, well, not a lot going on, but 72% usage with all of this fantasticalness happening around him. and that frame rate is looking pretty sweet at 4K 60. I just tend to think when you lock in that V-Sync with your monitor and you synchronize your card with your refresh rate, you know, that 60 hertz, that 60 FPS tends to look a little bit more like a 90, right? So not a bad deal. So let's jump over to a little bit of Dark Souls and see what we're getting here. Oh yeah, look at the fantastic resources. 28% low CPU load and mid-range to high 80 percentile GPU range. So looking good there on Dark Souls 3 as well. And it looks like I'm not looking as good as my 3080. All right, techies and gamers, that about wraps it up for this video. I hope you found this informative. I hope this allowed you to come to a decision as to whether you're going to decide to upgrade to a 3080, 3090, I don't know. Upgrade from your, budget graphics card that you're probably using at the time, 1660 Super. Maybe even if you're using a 2060 and you're deciding you wanted to try to upgrade to 3080 and do some 4K, serious 4K gaming. Maybe this was the tip over the edge to actually do it, to spend that $1,000 on a video card because you just have $1,000 flying off trees on you, right? At any rate, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate you coming through and spending some time with me and checking out my new build, and hopefully it's inspiring you to make changes or upgrades to your setup. And it would be greatly appreciated if you subscribed and you hit that like button, and that would help me immensely to continue to create this kind of crazy content, this informative content, right? And let me know if there's any other benchmarks you would like to know about in the comments, right? There's probably plenty of stuff I didn't mention in this video. So go ahead and ask those questions in the comments. I'll be glad to fulfill any of your questions. Yeah, and I'll see you in my next video.